All right, all right. We are back at the Grit Won't Quit podcast studio in beautiful Belmont, New Jersey, and we have a very, very special guest on. We have our first Wingman franchisee. We have Marc on today. Marc, thanks for coming back.
Thank you.
The last time you were on, you weren't a franchisee. You were on back in September of 2024.
Yeah.
So a little over a year ago, you were on the podcast.
Yep. I'm excited. I mean, good morning, New Jersey. What's going on, everybody out there? You know, things are great, man. I mean, number one, working with you and your team has been an awesome experience. I mean, you guys are extremely supportive, and then when the opportunity came to own a franchise, I mean, that was huge. I mean, for me, there's no one that I know that probably cares more about community than you. And
Thank you.
And that to me is a huge component of not only wanting to be part of Wingman, but wanting to see Wingman grow. And so this was almost a no-brainer. You have an entire team of professionals. Shout out to the entire Wingman team out there. You guys are incredible. We have such great professionals, and everybody truly cares about what they do. And you see that in the work. And I think at the end of the day, between us and all the other competitors that are out there, no offense to anybody, but there's such authenticity in Wingman Planning that performs so much better than anybody else I've seen out there. Yeah, you have guys that have $1 million rig to do all these commercials, but you have people that actually care about their community, care about what their work is doing, right? And it's personal for each of the clients. And so, I mean, what a home run. What a home run.
Listen, this is years in the making. We've figured out the formula that works for us. It's like a recipe. You keep tinkering with the ingredients till you get it right. I think we have I think the team at Wingman's great. I think that they've, exceed customer expectations every day. And you said it, they care. Like, they care. They show up. They're there. They know what's needed. They know what needs to get done. It's not like I need to say to them, please do this, please do that. They know they have to talk to this customer. They need to get the access to this. And again, when in the world we live in with two-factor authentication and all this stuff, like it's kind of like sometimes it's a headache. And I don't want the customers to be annoyed, but it's like, it's for your protection we're doing this, and we're setting up these protocols so that life just works better for them long term. And we've seen over the years things gone wrong or things didn't go according to plan. Even when people, even with the social posts, and they send you the post a month, a couple weeks before, so that no one calls up and says, I didn't want this posted. Like we've learned by getting our hand slapped, or you putting the hand on the hot stove. Like we've learned all those things, and I think that's why the franchise model is going to work very well for us, is because we've experimented. We figured out what works, what the client likes. And now from the corporate side, and I think this, if you started your own marketing agency, you'd have to hire all these people. You gotta bring in the sales, then you gotta hire the people, then you have to manage the people. We're here. You're bringing in the new business, and you're sending it off to a team of professionals in Jenna and Tony and Alan and Jillian and Ennis, and now their teams are producing this work ultimately to give you back a finished product, and you didn't have to manage that process.
And I think, not only that, but we've created a culture of even those that are under leadership, they take such a responsibility of making sure that their clients are well taken care of. We're listening to the needs, right? Huge shout out to Ariel, who's part of our team, part of yours, but she's been helping us out at Middletown, and every detail for each client matters. And sometimes, like we like to say, she's the real boss, right? I mean, she runs the show, but that's so important that we created that type of culture, because for us, we know that our clients are going to be taken care of, right? As a business owner, right, as a CEO, there's a lot that goes on, and sometimes you can miss a detail because of everything that's happening at a fast pace. But when you have an entire team, and that's the difference, right? A lot of people say, well, I got the guy that's a one-man show, and he does it for like a quarter of the price. Well, okay, but his capacity at some point is not going to be there. He's not going to pay attention to what the new trends are. Maybe he'll get eventually there, but we have a team that's on top of it all day long. And I love our clients. Some of them are extremely unique. Some of them are hilarious. Some of them are very serious, right? But we are able to manage all of that.
Yep.
You know, the personality, the brand, and make sure that what we're creating is translating into opportunity for them. I think a lot of times some people get stuck on this, you know, oh, it's cost me so much money to make opportunities. No, it's being consistent and showing up, right? And Wingman could help you do that, because as a business owner, you're so caught up in the everyday running your business, plus your life, plus everything else that you're involved with. When you have a team like us, we're looking at those details to make sure you're consistent out there, that your brand is being consistently seen. And that's what people want to see, that you're not just a stagnant company trying to make it by. It's how do we get ahead? Mm-hmm. And I think Wingman does just that. You're going to be ahead because we're not behind the ball. Either we're creating the curve or we know exactly how to run through the curve. So it's an awesome opportunity.
And I think that that's some of the difference between using a smaller marketing agency or using, you know, a one man band. You know, they can do the work, but are they staying on top of newer technology? Yeah. And like, you know, you look at large learning machines and, you know, these LLMs and how they're integrating into SEO. Like, you know, so SEO of the old days is one thing. SEO of the new days is different. Plus, you're going to start putting ads on those networks. Plus, you know, you can mute ads on the current networks, and people are like, well, if people mute those ads, well, those people didn't want to see your ad anyway. Yeah. So, like, there's a detriment, but there's also, you know, you're going to get more qualified buyers then. Absolutely. So, but if someone's not thinking about those things, and I think that that's where, you know, our team is always looking at new opportunities, new ways of doing business, so that it becomes that we're always at the forefront of this.
Absolutely. And AI is going to change the game big time, right?
Yeah.
And I always tell everybody, you have only, in my opinion, you have 3 years to get, you know, when that .com bubble came, right, they had so many years to jump on the ball. If not, if you didn't have a website, you were in trouble. And then it was SEO. If you weren't set up on SEO for Google, you were in trouble. And you're still in trouble if you don't have SEO now, right?
Oh, totally.
And then now it's generative optimization for AI and artificial intelligence. And if you don't understand the basis of that, you're going to be left behind, and you have 3 years. Because in 5, the entire world will be on a new track in terms of people are not going to spend the time to go search through all the little things on Google. They're going to want an answer.
Yep.
And is your company ready to be one of the top 3 answers AI offers? And you have to start now. And Wingman's doing that, right? Mm-hmm. We're already looking into that. We're already working on that.
We're already
and so
in there. So, and I think, you know, the more that we're looking at it, last week Wingman got a lead for someone who did an AI search.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, again, we'll see where it nets out. But on the other side, it's pretty cool when someone says, I said to the guy, how did you find me? He says, ChatGPT. And I was like, I said to him, tell me more. What did you put in? Because, again, you know, when you put in, you know, website design is Monmouth County. Yeah, most times. And again, it's interesting because it comes up differently on different people's searches.
Absolutely.
And it comes in, I think, you know, there's some nuances in AI. But again, I think that's why you have to be playing in the game to be in there at the beginning to understand some of this stuff. And I think the more that you're in there, the more that you're going to learn about it. But when I said to him, what'd you put in a prompt for? And he said, I'm in Ewing too, which is not even close to
any of our offices.
You know, and I was like, I felt really good though that day that came through. And I think that that's going to be, you know, it's here for more. And I think that, you know, again, as a small business owner, I think a lot of people that potentially would go into this marketing space, I believe it's going to be easier. And I mean, you're our first guinea pig into this arena, but I think it's going to be easier to manage. Not having to do all the work and not having to hire and not having to have all the overhead to do these services. And again, if you did your own agency, I don't think on day one or even probably 2 years out, you could have the infrastructure of all those leadership employees we were just talking about.
Not at all. I think, and that's the beauty behind the model of the franchise, is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel at all. You just need to copy and paste, right? Yep. And if you care enough, you know, the one caveat about our business, though, is that if you're going to join Wingman, you have to love community the way we love community, right? And I think, maybe you might be able to make it if you're not as in-depth as we sometimes are, but it's such an important part, because once you become the local authority by being both the expert in what we offer, but also caring about what's happening in the community, that's how you make a community thrive, right? We talk about, and one of the statistics that you talk about is how every dollar spent at a local business, 68 cents out of that dollar stays in the community. And people always ask me, well, how do you make a community thrive? Those 68 cents, right? Those food drives, those networking events, those things keep the community moving in the right direction. And so the Wingman impact, I think, and as we grow, and I believe it's going to be a national brand that people will know over the next 10 years, is we are going to be the cornerstone of not only producing good work, but also showing community that we could thrive together. And that is exciting to me. And to take a step back, marketing is going to get very interesting. And here's my prediction over the next 10 years. Right now, for instance, Meta allows you to pick out zip codes. Mm-hmm. I think over the next 10 years, we're going to be able to pick out cell phones in somebody's home. You're going to be able to get to the street level, to the house level, and to the details within the family, because people are using so much AI now, and it's going to get more advanced, that we're going to be able to target specific people in their homes. So we're not wasting money on trying to target the people that don't matter in those areas, right? That don't matter, in terms of the targeting for your business. So you're going to have really great success, and those who want to join Wingman are going to have such great tools and people behind them that you're going to be able to make your clients successful, and that's going to create such an impact, for your bottom line, but again, for your community. So,
and I think, like you say, like, it's more than just the bottom. The bottom line is important. You got to have a great, you got to that's success in business. But I think also we have to realize, like, there are people like in our own backyard that are having issues, and that's why we do these food drives and toy drives. I remember I went to a camp over the summer of people that are living in the woods, and it was in Tom's River. And those that don't know our area, it's 20 minutes or 25 minutes from our Manasquan headquarters. So within a half hour of our Manasquan headquarters, which is in Monmouth County, a beautiful, thriving area, there's people that are living in tents. So I think it's more than that, because again, we have to make it better for everybody.
Absolutely.
And I think that, when you look at big corporate and you look at, big corporations, they don't care about that corporate. That they don't care about that. That's not important to them. They have shareholders. They have other problems that they're worrying about. But I think, why I think Wingman becomes a staple in the community and a fabric of the community is because we do care. Yeah. So we still run our business. We are still very focused on making sure our customers have excellent results. If you look at our 3 locations, there's probably 240 or so 5-star Google reviews. So business matters first, but we also started a foundation. We also do these food and toy drives to help the community to make it a better place.
Yeah. And not only do we help for-profit businesses, but we help organizations, right? And I would love to talk about one that Middletown took on, which was the Waretown EMS. Mm-hmm. And so one of the problems they were having, or one of the problems they wanted to solve, was getting volunteers to come in. And it's not easy when you're not paying a salary to get anybody to do anything, right?
Sure.
Especially trying to save someone else's life and being in those situations. We started doing ads for them, and the entire team took on that project. And they have been getting so many applications. They've bringing on new people to the team. It's funny. He's telling me, one of the guys we're connected with there, he's like, man, I made these videos. You guys put them out for me. You wrote the right stuff. He was like, I become almost like a little celebrity. He's like, people are coming up to me and going, aren't you that EMS guy on the, And so now the whole town is talking about it. And that was, who would have ever thought that ads for an EMS organization, right, would work so well on recruiting? Because you usually think of Indeed and all those other things.
I'll be honest, I see the emails that go off, like when I see the leads that go off Facebook, and I am impressed that like every single day they're getting.
Every day.
And he must be thrilled.
They are so happy. At first, and again, with any company or any organization, you first have your worries. Like, we're going to spend this money. What am I going to get back out of this? And again, nothing's ever promised, because maybe people are not interested. But if you're offering something that people care about, that you can connect, and you do it right, and that's the difference. We're doing it right. It actually impacts. And so for them, this is a success story. And they're already talking to me about, we want to do a case study with you guys, because this was huge. Because imagine all the other volunteer areas that need help.
We should be doing the case study for them.
Yeah,
so that we could take this and take this on a road show. Yeah. I mean, I saw the results at the beginning, and again, when you get a new client, and again, a franchisee brings you the deal versus you bringing the deal yourself. You're like, all right, is this going to work? And I talked to our guys on the social side, and they were like, I think it's going to be good. And I'm more than impressed by the.
It was a home run. I mean,
That's
a home
great.
Run hit. So. with the model too. I mean, you've given me the opportunity to, bring people on my team, and your team is supporting us in doing that, right? And so we brought on Mike Buca and Cosgrove. There's another person we're probably going to bring on soon as well. And the part that I love the most is that when they meet the team, they feel so supported and so well connected that they have this boldness to go, I'm in it. Right? I mean, Anne was at our networking event yesterday,
Yep.
and I just watched her go in the room. And again, she hasn't been in sales in years. She was a stay-home mom, watched her kids now. One is in college, two are in high school. And if you saw her, she rocked and rolled yesterday. I mean,
She was there.
She was there. She spent time with us. She's so excited to learn. And I'm glad that we can offer that opportunity. I mean, and if you're watching, I mean, if you're looking for a new opportunity, reach out.
Yep.
I mean, we want to bring people on who really want to grow. And it's like running your own little business at the same time. You have that flexibility and that freedom. She works at the library a couple days a week.
Yep.
She's a full-time mom as well, but she wants to get back in the industry of selling. And this is a little bit newer for her, but I could already tell you she's taking the time to study. And those are the people that'll make a difference, right, for my company and everybody else.
The beautiful thing is like having Dave Bober as having Dave Bober on your team. I've known Dave, in a past life for 20 years. Almost 5 years ago, 5 years in January, he'll be here at Wingman, and he came to me and he was like, I can help you get to that next level. I'm more of the, I'm out there meeting people, talking to people, texting people at 10 o'clock at night. He's like, I could streamline things, help you get to that next level. I can help, kind of, make things just more systematic.
Absolutely.
Whereas I'm more of a running gunner. I'm leaving here to go to my next appointment. I got to talk to this guy. I got to text this guy. And at 10 o'clock tonight, when I slow down for the day, everybody gets all their stuff. Dave says to me, I could do it better. And I said, let's do it. And I'm sure there's some days he wants to strangle me, but he's brought a lot of things to a systematic way. And for Ann and for Mike B and for anybody else that joins the team in Middletown as well as in corporate, he helps them just to kind of get through the day to day. Ann already asked him this morning, can you show me 3 sites in the beauty industry we've done? So she doesn't have to go through all of our site list. He's got them at his fingertips, sends it off an email. She says, great, this is awesome. So, and again, so we want to make that process easier. We want you to be talking to customers, meeting with people, going to networkings, going to make relationships in the communities, helping nonprofits, and not worrying about all the administrative stuff. When I think about what the parts of the business that grow, it's when I go out there and go meet people. But what I can't do is have a backlog of stuff that doesn't get taken care of. So you get a guy like a Dave, you get a Chelsea, you get an Alan. They make sure that those things don't get lost in the mix while you're out there going to meet new people, making new relationships, and helping businesses and helping the community at the same time.
Absolutely. And for the investors that are out there that are listening, this is not a $300,000 investment, right?
No.
And nowhere even near that. And I think the beauty behind it is it's such a low overhead cost operation because you have the team that does the work. You have the infrastructure. You guys are working on the operations. We're working on building those relationships. And
this model's different than most franchise models. And
Agreed.
again, when we started thinking about it, and I had Dave, I had Chelsea, I had Tony talking, all kind of providing their insights and things, and we hired a third party, FMS, who did a great job getting us here. When I think about the traditional stores that are franchises, there's retail operation, there's build outs, there's employees, there's a lot of things that you don't have a ton of control over.
Yeah.
Versus what can I bring on and have a lot of control to make sure that the product is great. The worst thing is, you look at some franchise stores and you see them where where one store does very good and one store does terrible because they have bad reviews, they have bad employees, they have bad operators. I never wanted your success or demise to be because another person didn't have the same quality check. But if I have that quality check back at the corporate office with Dave, with Tony, with Alan, with Chelsea, with Ennis, etc., I can control the quality that goes out the door so that you're not seeing something that you wouldn't be happy with.
Agreed. I always look at it, think about it in this perspective. You go to Popeyes in Jersey, okay, it's okay. You go to Popeyes in Georgia, for some reason, it's a whole different ball game, right? Same with Chick-fil-A. My wife and I went to North Carolina and we went to Chick-fil-A, and it was like Chick-fil-A back in the day, right? And we were like, why is it different, right? And each franchise does things a little bit differently. But when you have the product that's the same,
Yeah.
and you can take that no matter where you are in the nation, that is extremely important, because there's an expectation that we've set. This is the standard, and you guys come through on that standard at all times. And so,
Yep.
Even when a client says, you know what, I had a vision this way, it didn't come out the way they wanted, we will then rework that vision to make it work, right? And to make it happen. And that's the beauty behind this model. You do not have to figure out 90% of what other franchises would require you to figure out. You have something that you can come in, you're going to learn from the team, you're going to be supported by the team, you have a product that works, get out there and go do your job, and you should have a thriving business without any question, right? I'm already looking at what's the next opportunity, right?
I think that guys like you are going to end up owning 3 or 4 or 5 franchises,
Easy.
Because I think it's going to be easy to manage. If you put a GM in place, and you say to them, like, part of the GM is you're going to go out into this community and build it. Andrew and I were talking this morning, and I said, Monmouth and Ocean are, we have a lot of interest of people that are interested in those areas, but I think there's areas everywhere. Like, everywhere could have a wingman, and it's just a matter of being that fabric in the community, being their go-to guy. I remember when I first started, I would do, and I still do it. I meet anybody, anywhere, anytime, because I wanted to be their wingman. I wanted to be their guy. Like, most of these small businesses that we do work for don't have a marketing department. They don't have, so we act as like their CMO, and we're the doers of the work. And again, a small business that hires a marketing manager, it's great for them. But on the other side is that marketing manager, unless they're just going to be the facilitator, they can't do all the jobs. Like, you cannot do all the jobs that can get done at Wingman as one marketing manager. They're all different skill sets. It's like if you're building a house, the guy who's painting isn't the guy who's
doing plumbing.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
But when small businesses think about hiring a marketing manager, that's what they think about. Oh, this person could do that. It's like when people call me and go, "Oh, can you set up my computers?" No, I'm not really IT. Do we have someone that can set up your computers? We certainly do. But it's not going to be me or you or in this case Dave going out and setting up their computer. We're going to call a third party who does computer setups. And I think a lot of small businesses just think about that marketing manager as a catch-all, and really they'd be better off investing that salary into an agency, us or somebody else, because agencies can do more, and you don't have to. Also, if you don't know marketing, how do you manage someone in what to do for the day to day?
Absolutely. And again, like you said, your marketing manager is going to always, and they're really bright people, because they're the ones that are thinking about where the direction of the company should be going in terms of the promotion of the company. But do they handle SEO? Do they know how to manage a website? Do they know how to
run social ads?
Run social ads.
And PPC that changes by the day.
The algorithm is always changing, right? And so that becomes complicated, and that's a huge investment when you're taking on an employee that is going to cost you $70,000 to $120,000 a year, and they can only do one bucket. Now, it's important that you have someone who is being the partner with us, right? That's also thinking about the grander scheme of your business, but at the same time, they have a capacity too.
Sure.
And you don't want to lose those people in the long run, because they're supportive of your company. So there's a balance, and you really have to figure that out. And you said something. People could use a wingman. I think every town in every state needs a wingman.
I agree.
And again, it's if small. And I think what gets to me is that I truly care that small businesses thrive, because they're the backbone of our nation. They really make things work. 60% of your life is dealt through small businesses. You may not know that, but it happens, right? How are we keeping, infrastructure paid for, the roads? These businesses are paying their rent. They're there. That helps pay the taxes. That helps your town, right?
Think about also the baseball team, the Little League team, the cheerleading team, the school band. All those guys come to us to support them. Come to us and all the other local businesses, because, again, you're not going to get a corporate sponsorship from some of these big, corporations, but yet the small businesses in the town are who support those organizations to happen. I mean, and I think that more people have to think like that. And again, I think when you think like that, then more entrepreneurs pop up and say, I could do this, I want to do this. And I think, again, the corporations don't have any loyalty to you. You look at Amazon, they dropped 14,000 employees last week. Yeah. You look, Microsoft dropped 9,000 employees earlier in the fall. Like, that's 23,000 people that don't have jobs.
Yeah.
And again, they're calling it an AI layoff, but I think what they're doing is they're trimming the fat, and
Absolutely.
And again, they have the ability to call it AI and call it whatever, but 23,000 people don't have jobs right now. And I look at it at Wingman. I've tried never to do a layoff, as much as sometimes it would have helped. When you think about when business is a little slower at times, you say, oh, what can I do? And then ultimately, my heart says, don't do it.
Yeah. And that's the difference, right? As small businesses, we care so much. And that could maybe sometimes at our detriment, right? Because we could have a bigger profit margin. But because we care, and I think that's what's proven through time, is because you've cared so much, people care about investing with you, right? Yep. Or working with you or buying from you. So, and two, I found it amazing, joining Wingman and getting the franchise. And then you went to a trip international, and someone asked about that you happened to see on your trip, and they go, how's Wingman Marc doing out there, right? I mean,
you get a lot of questions. I think because you're the first, and I think because people are interested, because we're not the traditional franchise of a restaurant or a store that has a retail presence. You get a lot of questions to me of, how's Marc doing? How's and again, they're cheering for you because I think that you're a likable guy. They see you on social media, but I also think they're interested. Like, wow, this is a different. Wingman's done something different, and I want to know how it's successful, how it's working. Because I think when you really think about it too, when you really start thinking about where people want to be, I mean, I think a lot of people, as they get into their 40s and into 50s, they want to work for themselves. And again, I think one thing that we do is we take a lot of the risk away.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, again, the overhead is low. The buy-in is extremely reasonable. And the expectation is just go build relationships. If that is your major focus, you will be successful in this business. And that's as simple as it is. You don't have to worry about figuring out how many spices you need to buy and the POS. Like, you guys have thought about it all, and you've made it extremely simple for me to come in and say, okay, this is mine. Let's rock and roll.
Yep.
And so it's an incredible experience, opportunity, and I think I owe a big gratitude to you, Cindy, Dave, the entire team, because honestly, owning a business in the past and being part of other businesses, there's a lot of worries. You're going to go into something, is this truly for me? But I have not once regretted, not once even questioned whether or not I should be doing this. This was like, this is it. This is it right here. And so
I'm so happy that you that you found us, that you came into this, that you did it, because I think that you're going to see I think it's going to be very rewarding over the years. I think that you're going to continue to build, and I love that you're in at the ground floor. Like, I think about different opportunities over the years that were presented to me, and this is a ground floor opportunity. So you're there, you're going to just be there for the ride now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in one of Elon Musk's capsules. We're about to go to space, and we're sitting here. The engines are rolling, and so I'm ready to go to the moon, and as far as we can go to Mars, let's build it out there. So that'll be interesting. I want the Mars franchise, so that one I'm claiming right now, so no one can touch it.
Dave, mark it off the list. All right, so Marc, thanks for coming on. Thanks for telling your story. I think it's a great story. And for people that want to follow Marc in Middletown, where do they go?
Yeah, so obviously wingmanplanning.com, you're going to see us and all the other franchises, but check us out on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Wingman Middletown. It's simple as that, Wingman Middletown. You can find us there. 732-581-1408 is my personal cell phone, so feel free to shoot me a text if you have questions. Obviously, you have an entire team and different areas that could help you, but we would love to work with you because everybody needs a wingman. Everybody needs a wingman.
Well, we'll sign off on that. Everybody needs a wingman. We're here. We have your back, and we want to help.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.